Welcome to the Atman Experience, a 16-week self-study course created by PopularVedicscience.com. In this course, we cover basic topics in consciousness studies from the perspective of the Vedas of ancient India. Our first unit is on the Vedic scientific method. In these classes, you'll learn about the Vedic process of knowledge and practical experiments you can make on your own to experience consciousness for yourself. Today's class is on the aim of human science. Science isn't just about inventing new technologies. Even animals know how to make tools. The true aim of science is to develop a comprehensive understanding of reality. A complete scientific perspective should provide clear answers to basic questions like, what is the universe, what is consciousness, and what is the purpose of human life? In last week's class, we learned that Vedic science shares important features with Western science, including a theoretical system, necessary and sufficient conditions for the success of experiments, and independent evaluation and confirmation of results by a community of experts. Because of the vast majority of our information comes from other people, we have to be careful about who we hear from. As a tree is known by its fruit, we can judge others by the quality of their actions and the values they live by. Consciousness is subtle and subject to influence from our surrounding environment. Real spiritual knowledge is not something hazy or imagined. It is concrete and tangible, as crystal clear as holding a diamond in one's hand. Knowledge of the Atman is a language in itself, like music or mathematics. It takes some time to become proficient. Be patient and stick with it. In a short time, you'll start to experience results for yourself. The Atman is an individual unit of consciousness. It is due to the presence of the Atman that the physical body exhibits symptoms of life. This is true for all species of life, including humans, animals, insects, and plants. Human life is unique among all other forms of life because it provides us with an opportunity to realize the self, our eternal existence that transcends the body and mind. Unfortunately, modern culture is completely out of touch with the actual purpose of human life, now more than ever before, thanks largely to technological advancement, especially the internet. The pace of life is so accelerated that it is often difficult to find time to step back and think about what we're really doing and why we're doing it. Human life is a privilege not to be taken lightly. The Vedic scriptures teach that human life is distinct from animal life because it allows us to discover the supreme reality and directly experience the Atman. Let's look more closely at just what makes human life special. There are 4 basic instincts that encompass 99% of the life of an animal. The first is eating. Of course, as humans we have to eat in order to stay alive, but if we're thoughtful, we can recognize that eating isn't the main purpose of human life. The second basic instinct is sleeping. For the average human being, approximately 1/3 of life is spent asleep. Again, some sleep is necessary so that we can function while we're awake. There is a certain peace found in sleeping, but the peace of the Atman far exceeds it. The third basic instinct of animal life is fighting. As soon as we fear we will lose something, we fight to defend it. All conflicts in the world are rooted in fear. Fear is something that can be completely overcome through the practice of meditation on the Atman. The fourth and final animal instinct is mating. This includes all types of romantic and sexual relationships. Of course, companionship is a basic need that should be taken seriously, and marriage is a meaningful and important part of life. However, the ultimate purpose of human life involves much more than physical and romantic love. According to the Vedas, human life begins with the cultivation of DHARMA. This means connecting with Source and directly experiencing our spiritual nature. This can be done through meditation, prayer, introspection, witnessing the divine in nature, reading spiritual texts, journaling, and countless other spiritual activities known collectively as bhakti yoga. If you want to learn physics, you would likely find a school or university that has a physics department with qualified professors who have dedicated their entire life to the subject. Then they would recommend certain books for you to read, and you would study those books under their guidance. This is the normal process of learning any subject. Spiritual science is understood in just the same way. The Vedas explain that true knowledge and practice of dharma can be obtained not through logic or empiricism, but by learning from a self-realized teacher or mahajana. As with modern science, Vedic science thus begins by hearing from an authority. Next, you must mentally engage with the subject matter. It is not a passive process, but requires serious attention and an inquisitive spirit. Do you understand what you're hearing? Does it make sense? If not, ask questions. If it does make sense, then try applying the lessons in your life and see what happens. This is where the rubber meets the road, so to speak. The Vedic science aims at transforming our own mind and consciousness. The results of the experiment are perceived within. As you apply the lessons in your life, you will notice inevitably a change taking place within your mind. If you have difficulties, it's always simply best to ask more questions, just as you would in a classroom. This way you are guaranteed to get the right result. After some time, a larger shift will take place in the way you perceive the world. Negative aspects of your life outlook will gradually diminish and eventually disappear altogether. Finally, you will discover an entirely new way of being based on spiritual principles and practices, and you will feel a constant sense of happiness and purpose. As you experience an inner transformation, you can report your experiences to your teacher. As with any other subject, the spiritual science has many layers and virtually unlimited depth. You can always keep learning and applying more advanced lessons in your life. If you have any questions, please feel free to write us at popvedsci@icloud.com. We'd be happy to hear from you. And you can look forward to our next class concluding the topic of the Vedic scientific method.